Hey, what up, everybody? Common sense perspective here. CM back with another. All right, so want to do a follow up on this Kamala Harris Trump debate that occurred the other day. I wasn't able to do it yesterday. Basically, a tight schedule. I wasn't able to put one in, so that's the 2 day after follow up, and I wanted to give you guys my take on this thing. Watching it, and without any sort of outsider perspective, just based on my initial thoughts, and then which was later reinforced when I started reading, other content to describe what they thought, how the debate went, and so watch the debate. Right, let me jump this over to let's go here. All sides, right? And then, I like reading Yahoo News because it's something I've been on Yahoo for ever since the early days of Yahoo. I've been on, and so the only thing I don't like about Yahoo News now, especially in the last few years, is that it's skewed so left. That's the only bad thing about it. Um, so here's all sides, right, where it's left, center, and right-sided news, right? But basically, how I thought about how this debate went, right, and you can see it. It's all over YouTube and everything when it comes to that sort of thing. We could look up Trump-Harris debate and, look it up, and it's going to show all kinds of different stuff here, right? Trump versus Harris debate. All right, so you can see here Trump versus Harris, all kinds of different information, all kinds of media sources, right? And so my whole take on it is that all the left obviously says, oh, Trump got defeated, all that stuff, right? And the right doesn't feel that way. They felt it was lopsided in terms of even middle people, independents felt like the odds were against Trump because Harris obviously that was debating, and then you also had David Muir and the other chick here, um, as they were supposed to be like hosts, but they were also fact checkers and all that. So it was three against one. All right. And so before I started reading about what everyone's responses were about what happened, my initial thought was it felt like, Trump would be questioned, right? And every time you make a statement or any sort of rebuttal, these people, right, the fact checkers or the host, would sit there and kind of give their opinion about it, which they shouldn't be. They should just keep their mouth shut, or try to shoot down anything Trump would say, or question, or second guess, or anything that Trump had to say, right? And they would so fact check everything he would say, and it's like, oh no, you didn't say this, or oh yeah, this is not what I see here, and but then every time when Kamala would answer a question, there wasn't no fact check, especially some of the outlandish statements that Kamala made, right, about the January 6th, how hundreds of officers died, which they didn't, right? There's only one person killed, no police officers were killed. Or another one was about Project 2025. It might have like Trump visions, but he says he has nothing to do with Project 2025. Just because it's Trump's former people doesn't mean Trump's doing it, right? So there's no really hard facts that Trump even cares for, and he even says that he doesn't care for it. All right, so you have that, and then another statement that Kamala made about I don't know, she just made numerous statements that were so false, and it's always what the left have been saying, which each time there's been made a claim about what the Democrats would say, that it was already debunked a long time ago, and she would still make those statements anyways as if it's fact. And it's like, dude, do you know what you're talking about? Especially about abortion bans. There you go. There's one that she said right there in the subtitle. Abortion bans. She said that he would ban abortions on day one nationwide. And it's like, he said it for a long time now that because Roe versus Wade was shot down, and at this point, he's just going to leave it up to the state to decide. Like, why do you need federal government involvement in a life situation like this? Leave it. Let the states decide this stuff. We got bigger shit to worry about. Which I agree. I think let the states worry about it. And if one state doesn't want to do it, I'm sure the neighboring state would do it, right? So that's the sort of thing, right? And there's other outlandish statements too, but a lot of times when they were asking her the questions, she didn't really directly answer the questions. She would sidestep it and make these sort of just statements and answers that wasn't directly answering the question at all that was being asked. And it was almost like she was just trying to seize a moment to make some sort of, exclamated statement. And it's like, just answer the damn question, bitch. It's like, it's just simple. Answer the damn question. And so that's what I felt like. And then when I started reading everybody's feedback, all the different media's feedback, it kind of just agreed, helped me reinforce that, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. And when you watch it, though, it felt like it was really stacked against Trump. And it was already, and it's expected because it's ABC, right? There's connections with Kamala Harris and ABC, right? With her husband, all this stuff, right? So there's connections. And I wouldn't doubt that since ABC ran this thing, that she got the questions to study about and all that, so she could kind of get a feel on what is going to be asked, right? I wouldn't doubt it. You could call it a conspiracy theory, if you want to, but I do have another video on a conspiracy theory about those earrings. I'll talk about that. But yeah, that's the thing about it, though, is that the question of can she get the script? Yeah, I think so. If with her connections to ABC, I think they were able to give her what was going to be asked. That way she could kind of frame her ideas at least on what to answer or in an attempt to answer, right? And so, a lot of it was attacking Trump, bringing up old shit. January 6th. Like, dude, this shit's 4 years ago. How about talk about stuff that you supposedly did for the country, which you really haven't done? Talk about the policies that you want to, you say you're going to do, but you didn't really talk about doing, right? You just make the statements, but how? Right? You didn't really talk about further into taxes on tips, right? No tax on tips, that is. Or how you just kind of talked about it, right? Just like how you said you're going to do it, but how are you going to do it? Right? That's the question. And it was just a lot of it was definitely a lot of mudslinging, against each other, throwing mud at each other. But at the same time, Trump was attacking more of the performance, right? Like her recent run as vice president and her performance. and what's been the results of all this, right? Rather than going back to some shit that wasn't really like they keep saying that, oh, January 6th was orchestrated by Trump and all that, and he even answered to that by saying, yeah, he said protest peacefully, and all that stuff. He even asked Nancy Pelosi about sending in National Guard troops, which she denied that. So his hands were tied at that point. All right, and I think to Pelosi, she's already moved on, and she wasn't going to help Trump anymore or do anything for Trump anymore, and that's why she denied sending the 10,000. Because I think he requested 10,000 National Guard people over to help quell this sort of thing that was happening, right? And so, you have that. And, and all these other statements that, like, Kamala made, and it's like, it's just, it got stupid, all right? So the cards were stacked against Trump, straight up. And that's what a lot of opinions are being said about here, outside of any sort of left-wing media. It could be liberal center, it could be right. All seem to agree. You can even look at outside countries, right? I like listening to Australian content, Sky News, where they are more common sense. They don't let left or right decide what they are. They just really just kind of live by common sense. Sky News Australia. Yeah, so let's see here. The wildest, most unhinged moments. I wonder if I should listen to this. Pull this up.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets. And this is what's happening.
So when it comes to what he said about eating pets, it was what was happening in Ohio in regards to Haitian immigrants, right? And of course, city officials are going to deny it. But all you got to do is just ask the people of the community if this is what's happening. And a lot of times, when you have third world people coming into a country like the United States, they're going to bring their third world habits with them. So yes, there's a lot of people that haven't denied that this has been happening. It has been happening. But of course, city officials don't want to take responsibility or claim it because it's embarrassing. We're letting all these illegals come in, and then now they're eating up our pets and animals, and they're probably starving and stuff. And animals are animals, right? To them, because if you live in a third world country that's poor, anything looks good to eat. You know what I'm saying? So that's where this is coming from, and the people of those communities say that this is what's happening. That you don't, of course, you're not going to listen. When you're talking about city officials, right, government officials, a lot of them you can't really trust, right? You can't take their word for it.
In our country, and it's a shame.
You talk about extreme.
I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess.
I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China.
But I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook.
China, they're taking in billions of dollars from China. China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars.
A bunch of lies, grievances, and name-calling.
She was the border czar. She doesn't want to be called the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. She doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run.
Donald Trump has no plan for you.
People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. the people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. She believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be...
Oh, spot on. Exactly. Right? She has gone to the Trump policies, Trump plans, because she has no plan, right? She's saying he has no plan, but the plans he's laid out there, right? The mass deportations, no taxes on tips, how he's going to revive the economy, bring down inflation, all that stuff, right? Bring down cost of living. She has no plan for that. A lot of it is copycatting, immigrants, illegal immigrants, right? Border wall, right? She's said the same thing. I think a lot of the stuff she's saying, she's just saying it to win. Even Bernie Sanders has even said that she's being pragmatic, that she's making statements because what you want to do is, of course, you want to win, right? And then, of course, what she's going to do is she's just going to flip it right back and go to her extreme left ways that she's always been. Because remember, bottom line, she's always said was, and is that my values haven't changed. That's the biggest thing that struck for me way back when she first did that interview. That's the first thing she said, and it still stuck to me, is that my values haven't changed. So if her values haven't changed, she's going to ban fracking, where she acts like she's open-minded about it. She's going to ban fracking, right? She's going to push the Green New Deal even further, which is going to really screw everybody in America, because no one wants to pay for a $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 car, electric car, and all this battery-operated bullshit that's out there. So yeah, she's saying the things to win the votes over because she knows it's popular, right? So if you have two people saying the same things, but one you're iffy on, right? Trump, right? Because he's so polarizing. But Kamala Harris, she says the same thing, but she's more likable, or whatever you want to, believe in your mind. Then you're going to tend to go her way because they're both agree on the same thing, when it really isn't. It's not really her idea, her deal. She's just taken the MAGA ways to try to influence the vote, and then she's going to just go her way.
The end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows
exactly.
She's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country...
Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
It's just a soundbite. They gave her that to say. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why he's leaving it up to the states to decide. She just made that statement. The government, right? Let me see that. The government and Donald Trump
certainly should not be telling a woman what to do
with her body. Exactly. That's why he said he's going to leave it up to the states to decide. You're exactly right.
Will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that?
I'll tell you something. He's going to talk about
She didn't answer that question either.
immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. What's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. And
I believe that, because the way the immigrants being brought in, the gangs, that a lot of them are gang entrenched, and if not, they're indoctrinated into gang, right, activities. You look at what's going on in these liberal cities, New York, Denver, Texas, the cartels, allowing them in, bringing them in, all that stuff, right? What are they doing? They're banding up. And is there going to be a World War III? I think there's going to be a civil war, and that's a different story to talk about. But I do believe that there could be a civil war, and we're talking about the original American, you want to call them patriots, versus these illegals that are trying to take over the country. Red versus blue, straight up. This sounds like gang warfare to me. Gang warfare, right? The blue, the classic, red versus blue, right? Bloods and Crips. It's a whole different level now. We're talking Americans versus illegals, right? Who don't belong in this country. That can very well happen. And I'm willing to fight for that cause right there, to fight back if it had to happen.
And look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people.
And it's not unusual. Of course, in the United States, it's not unusual. Well, it is unusual to eat domestic animals, right? Dogs, cats, and all that. Shit, in all these third world countries and all that, that's not unusual. An animal's an animal. Go to those countries, you'll see an animal is an animal. All right. Here, at least the dogs and cats get a little bit more. A lot of the domestic animals have more. I don't want to say respect, but just they're just domestic, and a lot more people have a little bit more compassion towards the animals. So yeah, but third world countries, they don't care.
That live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, as there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
the people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
television. But the people on television saying their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence.
Of course. Why would anybody claim that,
To that, Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme.
When somebody does a bad job, I fire them.
I think this is so rich, coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security.
And that's another matter, too. When you're talking about the stacked playbook of trying to get Trump hemmed up, prosecuted for all this bullshit out of nowhere, just to get him locked up, right? Because they were trying to get Joe Biden to win initially, right? Yeah, 4 different sort of cases that they're trying to throw at Trump to get him locked up, right? Locking up your own opponent, right? That's so democratic. But yet, he won every one of those things. And then he put Joe Biden to shame in a debate, because Biden is just a shell of who he is, right? He's a vessel, and he's just being told what to do and what to say, and he'll just do it, right? As like a puppet. And that's what happened there, and that's the reason why Kamala is there today instead of Biden, because of the fact that they were really trying to have a weekend at Bernie's for another 4 years, just a vessel being president, and they stacked the deck against any other Democrats for that to happen, and then that's what happened, right? That's why you had Kennedy, RFK, go independent, because if they really had a fair primary, right? You look at Kamala, she got appointed to become a nominee only because Biden stepped down and picked her. And it's already been documented that Biden has already been losing his screws for a long time now, that technically they should have had a primary to really be fair about the democratic process and then say, all right, let's see who is going to be our person to be our next president representing the Democrats. And they didn't run a primary to be fair in that way. So who's being more of a Marxist and dictator and all that? The Democrats. And then you look at what we got going on now. All right. That's why, I'm sorry, going back. That's why RFK went independent. Because he was one of those people that wanted to run for president under the Democrats. He has a history in politics with, JFK, his dad, RFK, original RFK, right, was Democrats. So, of course, he wanted to run for Democrats as a future president. But no, they really, really, cornered and sidestepped RFK Jr. And so they really pushed him out. So he ran independent. But running independent can really screw, a third party can really screw up the outcome in politics. So when you look at what's being fair and all that, him being screwed over by the Democrats, RFK went over easily to Trump's side and said, hey, you know what, I'm going to support you. And Trump's willing to take the high road, be like, hey, you know what, we got room for Democrats too, right? So that's why RFK's on board. Tulsi Gabbard, another one, on board, became independent, used to be Democrat. All right, but getting off the subject here.
Crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing.
Excuse me. Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponents.
Exactly.
Then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. They used it to try and win an election.
Exactly.
They're fake cases.
President Trump.
He took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me.
My values have not changed. And what is important is that there is a president who actually brings values and a perspective that is about lifting people up.
It's not lifting people
and not
up.
beating people down and name calling.
Wait a minute. I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She went out.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th. And on that day, the President of the United States incited a violent mob.
We have a nation that is dying, David.
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. And
Coming from a bitch that didn't get a single vote. All right. So how about that?
world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump.
We had
No, they're not. They're laughing at her and Biden.
no problems when Trump was president, but when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate
Poor
just
grandpa.
a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes.
Exactly. She got no. I mean, everything
He
is
got
correct.
14 million votes. 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her.
He's trying to, again,
That's interesting if that's true. We don't know.
divide and distract. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to him.
See, that's the part that they always make that claim. Oh, he's going to be a dictator. Oh, he's never going to leave office and all that. Just like they said about him on January 6th, and he stepped down peacefully. You know, he didn't do anything. Just because there was some sort of protest and all that, he still stepped down when he was supposed to. So, you know, it's stupid shit like that. But anyhow, enough of this shit. I just felt like they were really skewed and stacked the deck against Trump on this. And so the next step they said was, well, they want to challenge for another debate. And to me, I think the only other way to debate once again is to play in his court now, all right? News Nation, Fox, all right? None of this CNN, ABC, NBC bullshit, all right? They play by their terms. Now it's time to play on his terms. You want to come debate? Come debate with me on Fox. Come debate with me on News Nation, Newsmax, whatever. All right? Come to me that way. All right, yeah, we'll do a debate, all right. But she won't agree to that. All right, she's not going to agree to that. So we'll see what happens when that time comes, if they're going to do another one. But I just wanted to give you my thoughts on that. Let me know what you think about all this stuff. Do you guys agree about how it was stacked against him? Do you think a lot of stuff he said was factual? Do you think she said it was factual? I don't know. I just think a lot of stuff he said is true, right? Coming from her, she was bullshitting a lot. Lots of lies and all that stuff, and it's true. It's all just typical left-wing propaganda lies, all right? And she's still maintaining that. Still hasn't talked about a single policy, what she's going to do, what she is going to try to do and all that, and what she's standing on, why she flip-flopped on things. And those questions weren't really asked either, right? They didn't go too in-depth about it if you watched the whole thing. All right, so enough of that. Let me know what you think. Subscribe, hit the bell icon, and so much more to come. Other than that, I'll see you next one.